Hey everyone, welcome to 121 in Flux. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we talk about movies on this show. Often older films, although this one's not actually that old because we have a new release coming up that we wanted to check out the previous films for, and that is Thor. Obviously Ragnarok, the third movie in the franchise, is coming in a few weeks' time, but we wanted to go back and check out the first one again, so here we are. Also, apologies, we missed a week. For the first time, I think, since we started this show, we actually skipped a week last week.
Yeah.
It was not planned, it was not intentional. We were meant to do this last week, but things got in the way.
Honestly, I'm kind of amazed we've gone. We did a good 9 months, without missing a week. I'm shocked.
I mean,
I just expected us to screw up sooner, basically. I don't trust our ability.
I don't trust your ability.
That's fair. It was my fault.
It was your fault. Listen to all this. Oh, I'm surprised it took us this long. No. I'm surprised it took you this long to screw
Look,
up.
It was only a matter of time until one of us screwed up. It just happened to be me first.
Let's be fair. 8 times out of 10 it's you.
7.
Fine, 7 times out of 10. I'm still coming out on top here. So, we're going to talk about Thor. You know what, I'll just give a spoiler warning right away. I feel like this is Thor. If
You've seen it, yeah.
You've most likely seen it. It's a Marvel Cinematic Universe movie. The chances are you have seen it. If you haven't, well, you probably don't care about spoilers because you just want to know what happens so you can go and see the new one, I guess.
Pretty much. Pretty much.
So yeah, so this was the 4th film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You had your Iron Man, your Incredible Hulk, your Iron Man 2 before this. This came out in 2011. Captain America came out a couple of months afterwards, and the following years when we had the Avengers in 2012, and that was kind of the capper in this first phase. This is the first time in a while I've been back and watched a Phase 1 Marvel movie.
Yeah, I think the last time I watched any of them was before the last Avengers movie.
That sounds right, yeah.
I feel like I did like a watch through of the main line, the important ones, which kind of was basically all of Phase 1 and then a couple from Phase 2.
Yeah, I think that's the last time I watched all of them was before Age of Ultron. I actually tried to watch a few, not necessarily these ones, but I tried to watch a few of them before Civil War, and then for whatever reason I just kind of didn't. Which was maybe a sign of where my mood was with the MCU at the time. Was I wasn't in the mood to rewatch 3 of them again before I went to see that. But so we'll talk about how we felt at the time, how we feel now. Talk about what works, what doesn't work, all that kind of stuff. All the stuff we usually talk about. I mean, I always try and explain what we do because every episode is someone's first. You don't want someone to come in and feel like they're alienated because we just assume they understand everything, and so I always make a point of telling people that Connor's awful, just so that the new people know, okay, he's the awful one.
That's understandable, especially now that we're on audio. We might get some new people coming in, going, why am I so awful?
Yeah, they can't see it or Ginger. I mean, they can sense something's wrong, but they can't quite see it.
Yeah, I don't know. I still feel like sometimes gingerness managed to permeate even audio.
So, yeah, Thor. Before this came out, I had never read a single Thor comic in my life. There was never, at least as far as I know, there was never a Thor cartoon or anything like that, so I never saw anything like that. So I came into this knowing absolutely nothing about Thor.
I came in knowing nothing about Thor, the Marvel version. I was familiar with the Norse mythology.
All right, sure, you were okay. You were familiar with Norse mythology.
So I'm just give me it's kind of still a reasonable basing for most of those characters.
Okay, sure. I mean, I wasn't really that familiar with that either, but in terms of the Marvel character, I knew nothing. And I was never particularly interested in Thor before the movie either. Like, I went into it thinking, hopefully this is okay, but I wasn't exactly getting in with hopes held high or anything like that. I was kind of getting in with whatever. Funnily enough, I went into it thinking I wasn't going to like it, but I'd probably like Captain America a lot more. Which is funny because I really don't like that first Captain America movie. Obviously, Winter Soldier's great. Civil War's pretty good. But
that first one. Oof.
First Avenger, not so much. We'll get to that.
It's coming one day.
Yeah, next year probably before
Avengers.
yeah. I was just trying to Infinity War. That's the
Yeah.
one. Yeah. There's too many
Oh,
now. Look,
it's gonna be a long night.
well, what are we at now? If I remember correctly, Ant-Man was like number 12, so we're at what, 14, 15 of these MCU movies at this point?
Maybe too many.
Maybe too many. Oh, hot takes.
I don't know.
Hot
Maybe
takes.
I'm wrong. It happens a lot.
You are wrong a lot.
I feel like people are gonna just think I'm wrong about this movie, to be honest.
Why do you not like it?
No, the opposite. I love this movie. This is by far my favorite Marvel movie.
Oh,
And
that's
that is,
crazy talk.
that is of an extremely unpopular opinion.
That is.
Most people I've spoken to kind of have it middling, and I love it.
I liked it more than I thought I did at the time. But middling, if you have to rank all the Marvel movies, I
Yeah.
think middling's probably a good word for it. It fits right in a nice slot where it's pretty enjoyable, but it's not special, and it's it's not up there with the best of them.
I get it.
But it's solid enough.
I understand. I mean, I've been over this enough times to understand why people think that. But it's one of those I don't care. I just don't. I love it.
So why do you love it then? Well, what about it? Do you like the fish out of war elements? Do you like Asgard? Do you like what are you liking?
Yeah. So I love the whole the space fantasy Asgard. That just ticks every box for me already. I love the aesthetic. I like all the characters, even all the side ones. I think are a lot of fun and reasonably well defined, or at least defined enough to the point where they need to be. Bless you. You were waiting to get that out for a
I was
while
waiting. Yeah, I had a good 30 seconds of build up before that came down. Right, continue.
there. Yeah. I really love the music, which is it's one of the earliest Marvel movies that I actually think the music is good.
It's okay. I don't think it's memorable. Like it's fine when it's on. Like it's okay. It's got some nice bits to it.
I don't know. There's some of these bits are just fantastic. Like the banishment scene. That music is incredible.
I don't know. I feel like, and I feel this way about a lot of Marvel music. Is that I feel like so much of it is just really forgettable. Now obviously not every movie needs something you can hum later on, but I feel like superhero movies probably should.
Yeah, I think I just disagree with that as an idea. I
'Cause-
feel like that pens them in too much to being, oh, it's a superhero movie, which I don't need necessarily.
It bothers me though, because there was a time when you could hum every single superhero theme, and now I can barely hum like one Marvel movie theme.
That's fair.
None of them have that. I mean, Avengers tries to have that, but it's just kind of a bland theme.
I don't know. I think Guardians of the Galaxy has one.
Nah. And I like that movie. I mean, we've spoken about that movie before.
I've got
but
that in my head right now. Just
I can't
just
think of
thinking
it.
about it.
No, I can't. It's not clicking for me.
Fair enough.
I've already forgotten what the Thor music sounds like, and I watched that earlier today.
Yeah, no, I get you. I just think it's a really good score.
Fair enough.
I don't think it's particularly hummable. I'll give you that.
I don't know. I find it's serviceable, gets the job done, but that's it. It's left my head the minute I've stopped watching the movie. Whereas you watch Superman, and the rest of the day I'm like da 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 da.
I get you. I get you. I disagree with the
I'm
idea
hyped.
that
I'm jazzed.
that-
But even the TV shows the Flash, I'll walk around humming that theme for the rest of the day.
I get you. I just disagree with the notion that it has to be memorable and I have to be humming it for it to be excellent.
No, you don't. Obviously, there's movies I love that have great scores that aren't hummable, but none of them are superhero movies. Well, I mean, horror movies can hit and miss. Horror movies can or can't. But I'm thinking, I don't walk out of well, this is not a movie, but let's say Breaking Bad. I don't walk out of an episode of Breaking Bad going, "Oh, there was nothing in that I could hum." I'm disappointed with the music. It does what it needs to do for the property that it's working with.
I get you. And to me, superheroes are an extension of that. I think the same applies. It doesn't need to be hummable. Whereas you just want all superhero things to be hummable because it's superheroes.
Yeah, they should have a fanfare. That it's like their growing moment when they come in. That's why my favourite Marvel movie score is actually Iron Man 3, because it's one of the only ones where he has a theme.
Do you know what? I think that's the best Iron Man movie, but man, I hate the lack of AC/DC. It hurts my soul.
I'm not gonna lie, I actually was kind of pleasantly.
I remember the day I went to see that. I was in like college before, and I was speaking to a friend. I went, "Do you know what? Even if this is shit, I'm sure I'll get some nice AC/DC to listen to."
But you got a great movie, so
I got a great movie, so I wasn't too disappointed. But I was like, really could have done with some. It came out, I was like, "There's no AC/DC. What's going on?"
Yeah, but I had a better score, so it's fine.
No, but I really like AC/DC, and I really liked them in the first two Iron Man films.
I don't know. I'm someone who always favours score over music, like over source music.
I am as well for the most part, but I think it kind of built a brand at that point.
See, what if anything, because it was set at Christmas, I think Iron Man 3 should have had Christmas songs instead of AC/DC.
It should have had a Christmas cover of some AC/DC stuff. I'll give you that.
Oh yeah, I'll accept that. Or maybe AC/DC doing Christmas songs.
Yeah, no, that works too.
See if I could do an impression of that guy singing. I totally built out one of the choruses right now.
Brian Johnson's singing is incredible. I don't know how he does it.
Win Wonderland. I can't do it, but you know what I'm trying to think of.
Yeah, like that crazy bastard. I don't know how he does it.
Yeah, he's got a really raspy kind of.
It's so funny when you hear him speak regularly. He's got such a thick Yorkshire accent. The disconnect is unreal.
Was the original singer from elsewhere?
I'm not sure.
Because I presume like he didn't, not that he changed his voice to match the old singer, but like
stylistically though.
Yeah, to fit with the music, because he's still singing the old songs and stuff.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that's why he ended up with this, completely different. Then again, how many people from Yorkshire actually sing with a Yorkshire accent? Probably not a lot of them, because they know it doesn't sound good.
Not many of them.
Yeah.
Should we get back to Thor?
Yeah, back to Thor specifically. Yeah. It's funny, actually. I actually have a really weird opinion about this movie as well, which, just going from the internet and what other opinions are about Thor, I am like one of the few people who have this opinion.
I'm intrigued.
I prefer the Earth stuff way more than the Asgard stuff. So look at that face you're giving me. Like,
I'm trying to comprehend how I feel.
And yeah, because the Asgard stuff is fine. I don't know, like, it's all the goofy costumes. Like, it just feels like it's CG the whole time. I don't know. I just like.
I love it. It's space Shakespeare.
And I don't like Shakespeare, so like.
And that is why I think Branagh is the perfect director for this, because he just nails that Shakespearean aspect of it. Because
it's later on in the movie when when Sif and the Warriors three show up to the town. They're on Earth.
Yeah.
And because up until this point, Thor's, from the moment he's arrived, he's been in regular clothes because he gets stripped of all his fancy cape and all the rest of it. So he's been in regular clothes. And the movie works for me because he's a really good actor. Because Hemsworth has comic timing. That's largely what makes this movie work, is the comedy for me, honestly.
That's fair.
But it's when the rest of the Warriors 3 in that show up, and they're walking down the street and they're in these costumes, and all of a sudden it's in broad daylight and they just look so tacky and kind of cheap. And when Thor gets his costume back, like, his looks kind of rubbery, and I'm like, this doesn't look like it's magical and from another world. It just looks like a cheap costume to me.
I get you, but that, for me, that adds part of the humor. It makes them stick out even more.
Oh, sure, I guess.
I don't know. Adds to its charm, I guess.
I don't know. They definitely toned it down in the following movie, because I didn't think Thor's costume looked as silly in like Avengers, or then as silly in Avengers 2.
It's probably going to look really silly again in Ragnarok, because they're toning up the colour and the goof.
Here's the thing, though. That's a much brighter looking movie. And it looks kind of CG a lot of the time, but like, because that was one of the things I remember after this movie came out. Some people said, "Oh, the Asgard scenes will be better. I hope the next one's all in Asgard." And I'm like, "Oh, I don't know. It's just going to be CG the whole time." You know, it's got like a Star Wars prequel for the entire
No, I
goddamn
get you.
thing.
I mean, I like how colourful it is in. You're saying, oh, Ragnarok looks really colourful. I think all the Asgard stuff is really colourful.
It's colourful in a different way. Like, see when you watch the Ragnarok trailer, it's got this kind of like even the title, they've got this neon effect because they're going for this vibrant thing. Whereas Asgard in this, it's colourful, but there's like a blue sheen to the whole thing. There's like a sort of overlay of blue,
which I think is appropriate, though. Personally,
appropriate. I just don't know if I like it.
That's fair. That's just down to taste, though, isn't it?
It's down to taste, but it's that kind of sheen that kind of bugs me. It's when they go to Jotunheim, and obviously it's a cold planet, so it's going to be bluish, right? It's going to have that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But obviously it's all CG. You've got these big CG monsters, and it's one of these things where like these are the parts of movies that date, like of recent movies, where it's only a few years later we're looking at it going, oh, this CG is a bit old looking now, and it doesn't quite hold up. Especially when you've got giant CG characters running around and. The opening. And this is kind of what I was finding when I was watching it this time, is that I still enjoy what works about the movie. I still enjoy Hemsworth and the comedic timing with the other actors, and Selvig, he's pretty cool. But some of this stuff at the start with the frost giants and like a lot of that was kind of boring me. Like I'm like, can we just get to the stuff that I like?
I have a blast with that stuff.
See, as soon as it cuts to Odin and he's like telling the story, and he's like, once there was these 9 realms and there was the frost giants, but humanity was not alone. They had Asgard behind them, and
I love it. It's super Lord of the Rings. Like it's that prologue, Lord of the Rings prologue. That's what that is, and I love it for that.
And for context for the audience, if you've not heard my opinion on this before, I think Lord of the Rings is boring as hell. I do not like Lord of the Rings,
and they're some of my favourite movies ever.
Yes, and I'm the minority there. Clearly, Connor's got.
And to be fair, I'm
them.
a little bit more on the extreme end. Most people wouldn't say they're the favourite movies.
No.
But most people like them, I'd say.
Most people there's a fan base that puts them up on a pedestal, like they're like. Especially those people who think Two Towers is easily the best one, and I think that was easily the most boring.
Two Towers Extended is easily the best one.
Oh boy!
I mean, if we're going theatrical cuts, that's a different argument altogether. But extended, definitely.
I never saw the theatrical cuts. I didn't care enough to go and see them in the movies.
I don't know what to say to you sometimes.
I did, however, see the Hobbit movies at the cinema, and
yeah. I'm not going to defend those.
That third one.
I'll defend the first two to a point.
That third one was basically Attack of the Clones bad.
I think it's worse. I straight up think it's worse.
No, you don't hate Attack of the Clones enough, Dan.
That's fair. That's fair.
So, we're tangent a lot more on this one. I think this is because it's such a recent movie, though. We have all these opinions connected to it.
Yeah.
But no, I think what we're doing, though, is we're kind of establishing why certain elements of this are working more for you and not for me. I don't like Lord of the Rings. I don't like Shakespeare. Those elements of it, I couldn't give a shit about. For me,
those are things that, to me, are amazing things, and I think it nails those ideas in this.
Yeah, for me, I don't care about those ideas. What I like is Chris Hemsworth smashing a cup and going, another!
I love that too.
And all that comic timing. I was down for this. Unfortunately, there's some elements of that don't quite work that well either, and what I mean by that is the romance doesn't really work for me. I feel like it feels kind of rushed at the end of the movie when Thor's all I will come back for you, I promise, and I'm like, really? You've had like 3 conversations at this point.
I'll give you that. The romance is rushed, and in general Thor's whole arc takes about 3 days when you really think about it.
It does. It's funny actually, because I would argue it suffers from not having like. Because they have what do you call the big metal dude, the Destroyer? Is that what it's called? Yeah. I actually think I like the fight with him in the town because it's got a groundedness to it because it's in a town and it's those buildings.
It's this small town. It's not end of the world.
And it has this. I like that. I do think it's over too quick once Thor becomes Thor. Like once he actually gets all his armor and all that, it's like he just destroys it immediately. And I'm like, I don't know. I'd like to see him actually have to still still be a challenge.
I get you, but I think that's kind of the point, isn't it? That it's not a challenge to Thor.
But here's the problem with this though for me, is that After that, that leaves us with a Thor versus Loki fight, which is boring as shit and is completely just not interesting to watch at all. It's these two guys in stupid capes doing hand-to-hand combat with some fancy light effects to make it look a bit fancier until one of them's like hanging off the side of the Rainbow Bridge, and then, you know, trickery. And then the ending suffers because the ending's actually bullshit. Because everything it does at the end, it completely retcons as soon as you get to Avengers. Loki's death! And it's played like his death, completely undone. In fact, it's undone in the post-credits scene, never mind Avengers. The other thing, Rainbow Bridge is destroyed, and, you know, Loki screams out, "Oh, you'll never see her again!" And then, like, I'm like, yeah, and then in Avengers, it's just like, you know, how's he going to come back? And all we get is, "Oh, Odin summoned magic to get you here." Oh, it wasn't that hard then.
That's fair, but that is not fair to criticize this movie for. I wouldn't hold it against this movie for having an ending and then something undoing it later.
No, I will, because it was planned. This is, you can't look at this as a completely standalone thing.
I mean, the Loki and the Avengers stuff, fair enough. You know, the idea that, oh, okay, Odin's magic, all right, fine, whatever. They could have thought that a bit better. I'll give you that one. The stuff directly related to Thor 2, with, you know, going back to Earth and seeing her again, that will defend. I don't think that was planned at that point yet as to what would happen.
Oh, sure, but this is the real complaint I'm making here with all these things that get retconned immediately because they need to be retconned, because obviously they had to be, is that I feel like instead of actually thinking about what had to come next, they just wanted to have a climactic ending without actually thinking about, oh no, because we actually have to have him to come back to Earth multiple times in the future. We actually have to have Loki back for several things.
See, I'll defend the Loki one as well. I think they think it's treated as his death. They play it like it's his death because that's what they think's happened. But for him, it was never that.
No, Loki's a little bit different because they do actually tell you in the post-credit scene, no, he's not actually gone. So Loki is a bit different. But everything else, and this is actually a problem I had with the Marvel movies for a while, is it almost felt like a lot of the solo movies had endings that didn't really like consider the fact that they needed to be used next. Like they all seem to want to have these endings that did big things to the character, but they kind of broke the status quo. So then the next movies, like the team movie or the next solo movie, had to kind of quickly go, oh no, we're back to normal. Don't worry about that.
Well, I'm with you on that.
And they all kind of feel that way. And Thor has that as well, with the Rainbow Bridge, and they make this big thing. Oh, you'll never see her again. It's, you know, it's going to be so hard to go back, and then it.
I think it's part of why Thor 2 suffers, though. Not to get too into that, but I don't mind it in this movie because I think this movie did its thing, it did its ending, and Thor 2 is the one that kind of undoes that for me.
Yeah, but I don't think it's part of this movie's fault though, because they should have.
They should have been more considerate. That's fair. And I mean, who do you blame for that? I mean, do you blame maybe Feige for not going, hey?
Yeah.
He's the one shepherding this universe. Do you go to him? And go, he should be reining them
possibly. In. Yeah, possibly. I don't know like who had the choice there to make that.
I mean, especially as it's like you say, it's a consistent problem across a lot of them.
In the early days, I feel like it's something it's went away.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
In the later phases, but this phase 1 certainly had this kind of feeling to it.
Yeah, definitely. It also has the phase 1 prologue, flashback at the start.
It does. That's the thing. The phase 1 movies are kind of a double-edged sword now. There's a good thing. The good thing about them is they actually feel like much more focused standalone movies for the most part.
Yeah.
Compared to the more recent ones, where they just kind of feel like a chapter in a TV show, which can sometimes feel a bit unfulfilling as a movie because you go and it just feels like it's setting up the next things. Whereas
this you get 2 or 3 a year, and it's like, okay.
Whereas this felt a bit more self-contained. It's a bit focused. I think the pacing is good. I don't think it drags. It keeps its thing going. But there is a lot of it that doesn't quite work. At least for me. And not just the other stuff, but the ending. Like I say, the Loki Thor fight. Like I'd forgotten this even happened. And then I'm watching it again, and they're like, he's hitting Loki with the hammer, and he's got his staff, and the clank, and there's like a big light effect, and I'm like, this is boring as shit. Like, what? Who thought this was an exciting action scene to end on?
Exciting action scene? That's fair. I don't think I'd give it that. I think I like it for what it is for the characters. It's these two brothers.
That's my problem, though. Loki, he's a good villain. but he's kind of like the Riddler. I don't want to see the Riddler fighting Batman.
I mean, you did just read the same comic story I did, right?
Yes, there was some fighting in that book, but typically speaking, I don't want the Riddler fighting Batman with his fists. That's not what the Riddler does. Loki to Thor kind of feels the same. At least in this movie, it feels that way.
Well, I think that's why it's important. That's how he wins. He wins through using his magic. I mean, Thor thinks he wins, but he doesn't. Loki won.
I just thought it's not enjoyable to watch. Like I said, it's a boring fight. What do you want from me?
I don't know. I just want to. I want you to concede that I'm right and this is the best Marvel movie.
Oh, that's not happening.
I know.
8th best, maybe 9th best, something like that.
That seems a little bit low.
I don't know. We've got like 16 of them now.
That's true.
It's in the middle.
Joe, I just need to know how many we're at because I've lost count. I've genuinely lost count.
I think Spider-Man: Homecoming was 16, but I could be maybe 15.
Let's have a look. 1, 2, 3.
I was going to count manually. Hold on. Bear with them.
It's not telling me automatically.
Math's not your strong suit, so just give him a second to count up.
Yeah, Spider-Man was 15.
15.
Was it 16?
You're the one counting them.
16. I lost count as I said it. I was still counting and got ahead of myself.
Right. So Spider-Man's 16, so that means Thor's 17. Ragnarok, that is.
Yeah.
It's going to be 17.
Yeah.
Excellent.
That's a lot of Marvel movies.
That's a lot. That's a lot. And I think it was really exciting at first, but now that we've got so many, it's kind of like, okay, now the novelty's worn off, so I can kind of look at some of them and go, yeah, some of these are ones I don't really want to watch again.
Especially as, you think about it this way, by the end of next year, we will have 20.
We will have 20, yes. In about 3 or 4 years' time, it'll be rivaling the Godzilla franchise. And the Godzilla franchise took decades to do that.
They did. That took like a good 50 years.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Anyway, so I might be too harsh. I do actually like Thor. Like, I think a lot of it works and it is tight. There are parts of it, though, that are kind of dull to watch now. Mainly because I think we're just so far removed from Phase 1 that, like, I don't know, like, some of the early stuff, but, like, when Loki's, like still there and he's, like, pretending he cares about Thor, and I'm just like, okay, no. Like, because Loki's pretty funny in the later, because say what you want about the Dark World, but I seem to recall Loki being really funny in that movie.
I also recall Loki being the highlight. And,
also true.
I'll be honest, I don't actually remember a lot of that movie. I think it's one of the only ones I've watched maybe only like once or twice. I think it's mostly quite forgettable. I think the two things I really remember from it are Loki being the highlight and Eccleston being utterly wasted.
Eccleston being wasted. I remember the comedy. I remember it being funny. It's got a lot of problems, but I remember laughing a lot.
That's fair. We'll find out soon. Well, we'll get to that.
But yeah, so what else do you like about it?
Yeah, okay. I really like a lot of the side characters, like Sif and the Warriors 3. I think they're a lot of fun, a lot of good banter.
Yeah, they're okay.
That's it. They're okay.
They're okay. I don't know. Like, they don't. The human character's a lot more interesting to me. I like Selvig. I like
Selvig a lot.
Kat Dennings is alright as Darcy. She's kind of sullied now because now I look at her and think of Two Broke Girls, and I hate that show with a fiery passion. So
that's fair. I think I like her here because there's not too much of her.
Exactly. Nice dosage.
Yeah. I do like her a lot in this movie.
Nice dosage. Actually, I do have this is a complaint I remember having actually when it came out.
Okay.
Especially as someone who went in having never like read a Thor comic or really knew much about him. Something that really murkied the idea of the character for me in this movie. So they actually bring up Norse gods in this, and at one point Selvig goes and looks through a book and he sees like Thor, Thursday, Thursday, and he sees all these things in a book. I'm like, wait, we actually have these legends on Earth in this world where Thor actually exists? And then I went, so he didn't know his brother was the god of mischief, or like it's in these books, it's all there.
Oh, he definitely knew his brother was the god of mischief.
Did he?
I mean, I think he has to have done. That's why, like Loki's whole thing is, the magic and trickery. So I think he had to have known that. I think the thing is
But why is he so shocked then when he gets betrayed?
Well, this is it. In those myths, Loki's not evil. He's a trickster, but he's mostly kind of harmless. He's not evil though. So yeah, that's what I go. I mean, there's enough things from this that make me go, okay, that's definitely like, okay, these are those Norse beings, because when they're on Jotunheim and Odin rides in, he's on his 8-legged horse, which is that's from the mythology. So it's like, okay, there's enough there that go, right, these are things that the mythology say happened.
Okay. I'll take your word for it.
And there are other little digs at it as well, like when Laufey calls Thor a little princess.
Mm-hmm.
That's based on a story where Thor dressed up as a princess to get his hammer back. That's one of the stories.
Very good. Here's another critique that I remember having at the time, actually.
Go
on. It's weird that you actually argue this now, because I've seen more movies with them and I've read some of the comics, so it's harder to actually kind of look at this and say this, but I remember feeling this way at the time. Is that I don't think the movie actually, for an origin, but for the first ever Thor movie, I don't actually think it does a good enough job clearly defining what Thor's abilities are.
Oh, that's fair, I guess.
Because I remember coming out and not really being sure about a lot of the things. Yeah, he mentions Mjolnir's, it's forged in the heart of a dying sun, and all the rest of it. But it never I remember seeing Avengers, and Avengers actually making a lot of the rules about his powers feel a lot more clear.
No, I'll give you that, because the whole thing is, whoever holds his hammer shall possess the power of Thor. But it never tells you what the power of Thor is.
Yeah, and he's just Thor. Even when he's not got the hammer, he's still Thor.
Yeah.
So, what does that even mean? In the movie, it almost reads like Odin just takes his power away that he had naturally, puts it in the hammer, and then lets the hammer now kind of be the bearer of that power.
The conduit.
But it's almost like Thor originally had that power and then got it taken away. But he has it back kind of on loan when the hammer says it's okay.
That's kind of how it plays, yeah.
Yeah. But, I remember, going into this, I wasn't sure if Thor could fly, for example, when I went into it. And I was like... And it wasn't really until after thinking about it after the movie, I'm like, okay, so he throws the hammer in the air and that's what kind of carries him, rather than him flying himself.
Yeah, no, that's fair, because it always shows it like that in the movie. It never tells you, but it does show that.
It does, but you have to kind of be paying attention that he's sort of throwing the hammer, though. It doesn't always...
I don't think that's a critique. I don't think that one especially is fair. I think that's saying, no, we're not going to spell out all the rules. We're going to show you, and you can, put it together yourself. Especially on the flying.
I don't think it shows you in a particularly clear way. I can see it when I'm looking for it now, because I've seen it multiple times, and I have a better idea of the rules. But I remember the first time coming out of this, I wasn't sure how the flying worked.
Okay. I never had that problem.
I think part of this isn't really a problem per se, because I think it's actually the better thing they could have done with the plot for the first one, because the whole idea has to get his power back. But it is maybe a symptom of the fact that he goes most of the movies without his powers, and he's not using them for larger...
No, I get you.
He uses them during the big Jotunheim fight at the start, and then he loses his powers, and then he doesn't get them back, and then he uses them very quickly to dispose of the Destroyer, and then, when he's fighting Loki, he's basically just punching and kicking.
I'll give you that.
So there's not a whole lot of them in display. Whereas when I saw Avengers, and I got it, he could call the hammer at any time and it would come. I never got that in this movie, not really.
Okay.
Whereas in Avengers, that moment he's fighting Hulk, I'm like, okay, I get this, I get the rules. The movie's showing me exactly how this works.
That's fair. I think that is, like you say, it's a symptom of, the power being stripped. So, a good 2/3 of the movie is powerless, so it doesn't have that much time to show you them, does it?
I think that's the other when I was just going back to the complaint of the fight with Loki at the end not being that interesting or exciting. I think it's just that he's not that good an opponent for Thor. Whereas again, go back to Avengers and that Hulk fight. I remember watching that fight for the first time, and obviously not every fight is going to be against someone like the Hulk, but I remember just feeling oh, this is why the hammer's cool. like
Okay.
because he was actually getting to hit someone with it in the face.
Well,
And he
see, I
was
got that in the Jotunheim fight. Where he's swinging it about and then he's throwing it through like six of them and calling it back, and then he's spinning it and chipping up all the ice.
honestly, Joe, I think that doesn't work as well for me. I think it's because the action's just not as well shot, and I think it's because it's really dark and it's all in this Jotunheim world, and the CG is not quite as good because this was lower budget than Avengers. I don't know.
That's all fair. Yeah.
I think what I'm trying to say is I never like watching this movie went, oh cool, that him using Mjolnir, that was cool, like I like that's a cool effect, it's good for action scenes. Whereas when I came out of Avengers I'm like, oh no, I see how that works well in an action scene now. Like it convinced me. It's kind of the same, like not to the same extent, but I said I didn't like First Avenger. We both liked that movie, and that movie did nothing to convince us why Captain America is useful at all. I thought the action scenes in that were bad. I didn't see what the point of them was. But then Avengers itself, he started doing all this parkour. He started using his shield in more inventive ways, which he never really did in the first one, which is weird. You think the first Captain America movie would make a real effort to show him using that shield like it's the best thing ever.
No, I get it. I mean, but
because just go to Winter Soldier. The opening scene in the boat of Winter Soldier does more to convince me that that shield's a cool weapon the entirety of that first Captain America movie.
that's fair. But I mean, like I said, when he's spinning it and into the ice and he's blinding them all, and I'm like, oh, that's pretty inventive when I was watching that.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I just I never like struck.
I mean, I think I like that it was situational as well. There, it wasn't just it was paying attention to the environment.
I guess what I'm really saying is that there's not a lot of cool action scenes, and because there's not a lot of cool action scenes, they never really get to convince. The only action scene I kind of liked was the Destroyer. Before he became Thor, like when they were avoiding the blast, and the Warriors 3 were having to like use teamwork to try and fight. There was tactics, there was things going on in the ideas.
I get that. I think it does suffer in action set pieces because it really only has the one at the start and then the Destroyer at the end. Because the Loki one isn't an action set piece. It's definitely not.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, it's all tactics. It makes sense. They're fighting this pretty cool villain, and I like how the Destroyer like does that thing where he turns round, like Sif thinks she's got him killed,
it and the head just spins,
and all of it just kind of spins around. It's quite intimidating. It's got a very sort of Terminator-esque kind of vibe going. But once Thor becomes Thor, once he gets the hammer, he just starts spinning. It makes a tornado, and it's just all CG. It just becomes a CG wall of things happening, and it's like, okay, I've kind of lost interest now.
That's fair, but I really like the whole opening action, so I didn't feel like I was missing something in that sense.
I don't remember hating it when I first saw it, but I found it really tedious to sit through now. Like years later, having seen it a few times, I'm just kind of like, yeah, these opening scenes don't do anything for me on a rewatch.
That's fair. So, and you kind of made it clear you're not a big fan of most of the Asgard stuff. How do you feel about Hopkins as Odin?
I like Anthony Hopkins. I don't think I like the character that much.
Really? How come?
It's just a bit too pantomime. I see Anthony Hopkins in a big stupid costume.
Man, really?
Yeah, that's kind of,
See, that's some of like the movie's best stuff. I mean, it's Branagh turning up the Shakespeare, and going, yeah, go on, go for it. Like that banishment scene that's probably that might be the standout scene for me in terms of acting.
Like, here's a question: is Asgard just one city? Is that a whole planet?
It's a realm, but yeah.
Is that a planet sized? Is it a city? Is it?
It's a big city, I think, by the look of it.
It's a big city. Okay. I never get a sense of a population. You see a crowd at the coronation at the start, but of like soldiers, but I never really get a sense that people actually live there. It doesn't feel lived in, if that makes sense.
Oh, I mean that's fair. I get you.
I don't know. It just doesn't feel populated. It doesn't feel real to me. The whole thing in Asgard at the start just kind of feels phony to me, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, nah. And I don't think there's anything that will ever convince you otherwise, is the problem here.
And Anthony Hopkins is a great actor. I am not dissing on Anthony Hopkins, but he spends half the movie asleep, so
that is true. Yeah.
So it's whatever. And yeah, so at the end when he's like, "Oh, I am proud of you, son," he's like, "I've got much to learn." Yes, I know that now. Before I can be a good king, and so on. And like, yeah, I don't know how much you learned really.
I think that's probably the biggest problem with the movie for me is that it's it's kind of rushed in that sense. That just I don't think the ideas are rushed. It's just more the time scale that it takes place over. It doesn't feel like it was quite earned, even though all the actions are there.
Yeah, I feel like because they hinge a lot of it in him caring about Jane. Like Jane's this linchpin that makes him care about humanity, and he promises her not to smash the mug. He explains her the realms. They sit by the fireplace and they have this, and that's like the one moment they have. That's like the one romantic moment. Like I'm not going to say they don't have chemistry, because they do have some chemistry, but it's really just some flirting. Like
Yeah. Here's the thing. I'm gonna be controversial here.
Okay.
I think it all comes from Selvig, because up till like he's like, okay, I'll help her because she helped me, sort of thing. Up to the point where he goes to break into the facility to get the hammer back, and he comes out and gets to the book because she's like, okay, well, she kind of brought me up here. That was the deal. But it's after that where Selvig comes and gets him out, and then they go and they have the drinks and they bond. It's after that he actually kind of changes his attitude and kind of becomes softer and more open towards humanity.
Yeah, I mean, I think the idea is that he, because he couldn't pick up Mjolnir, because he walks in, he storms in thinking, oh, I'll pick this hammer up and I'll be a badass again, and it doesn't work. So I think the idea is he's demoralised by that, and then Loki comes and sees him and tells him that his dad's dead and all that. But you're right, Selvig's actually, he's got a better connection with Selvig than he does Jane, because, it's like when he's carrying him home drunk, and he's like, oh, we drank, we fought, he made his ancestors proud, and he throws him in the bed, which is a great line, by the way.
Yeah, it was good.
Like, honestly, their bond is actually like when he sees him like in the next movie, or even in like in Avengers when Selvig calls him his friend.
Like one of the best like comedy moments for me is them in the bar and they order the Boilermakers. And Selvig's there, starts drinking, looks over at Thor, and they're like, they're neither of them wants to be outdone by the other, and you just get the impression like, oh, this is gonna go on a while.
Yeah,
it's a great moment.
But of course, Thor being, I mean, technically he's human at this point, but I mean,
he's been drinking for millennia.
He's still like 6'4" and like made of muscle, so he's winning this fight.
Yeah, exactly.
Selvig might be give it a go, but he's not winning.
You got to appreciate that he does give it a good go for it, though.
Yeah, well, I think it says a lot that Jane Foster's not back for Thor 3, and no one gives a shit. No one cares. No one's saying, "Oh, where's Jane? This is wrong. We can't leave Jane out. She's like a big part of these movies." It's like no one cares.
It's one of these that's a behind the scenes thing. It was who did they originally have to direct Thor 2? I can't remember her name.
It was Patty Jenkins.
Was it Patty Jenkins?
Yeah.
And then after she kind of got kicked off, all that stuff happened.
We were going to get Wonder Thor for a short time.
Yeah. When all that stuff happened, and Portman was like, "Well, solidarity. I'm not coming back after this."
Yeah, she was basically forced to because it was in her contract. She couldn't get out of it. And the funny thing is, in retrospect, it's like, well, was it really worth forcing that? I mean, really. And that's the funny thing is that Ragnarok, it really just kind of feels like, all right, we've got Thor. What did people like with him other than other stuff? They liked him with Hulk. Thor and Hulk were a good buddy like duo, like fighting each other. Yeah, give us more of that. Give us Loki doing his thing. Give us Jeff Goldblum, and let's just go nuts. And
honestly,
that's what it feels like Ragnarok is.
Ragnarok is the most excited I've been for a Marvel movie in ages.
And again, it's the comedy. It's I'm going to get his name wrong.
Yeah.
Director of What We Do in the Shadows and some other stuff. He's the one directing it, and they put out those little shorts. It's Thor and his roommate. And it's nothing but pure entertainment. It's like his comic timing with that director. It's just gold.
It is. It really is.
And the funny thing is my favourite part of these Thor movies is the comedy. So I'm actually kind of cool with that.
And I'm down with that too. I love the comedy in these movies. I think it's been played excellently.
Yeah. So obviously Coulson running around doing his thing.
Yeah, doing his shield nonsense.
Yeah, and actually it's one of the things that I remember the first time I watched this after like Winter Soldier and realised, oh, that SHIELD agent who turns on him in Winter Soldier, he's in this movie. He was here already, like way back in this one.
Yeah.
I was like,
that's a nice touch, isn't it?
I didn't remember his face. That was a nice touch. I don't believe for a second that when he was in this one, they were planning on doing something with him later. That was just like, oh, we've got him already. We could do something with him. like later down
Yeah.
the line. But
Yeah, and I will say the Hawkeye tease was kind of like
forced and bullshit.
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
The thing is, I love that sequence of Thor, rampaging through, fighting in the mud, and you've got Hawkeye up, just watching it, going, shall I take the shot? Thor and this big guy rolling around the mud fighting. It's like I think it's a great sequence in all the rain,
it's
but
weird.
I didn't really need Hawkeye there.
It's weird that you never actually see him again, because it feels like it's setting him up to like show up for a couple more scenes. Like, okay, we know this badass is here that has a bow and
Yeah.
arrow, but then like nothing ever comes of it, and it does just feel like, hey, he's going to be in Avengers. Like,
It's Chekhov's gun on a
Multi.
line-wide scale.
yeah, on a multi-movie level, yes.
Yeah.
Basically, it's basically what a lot of Iron Man 2 had problems with. It's just here, it's just condensed to one scene, thankfully, whereas Iron Man 2 was full of it.
Yeah, it's really easy to overlook when it's just one character, and it doesn't really impact anything, really, because the scene's still great, even if you take him out of it.
It's just grown interesting because it's a little bit just it's in your face. It's a bit like
Yeah.
this didn't need to be him,
Yeah.
or it didn't need to be this like wink wink kind of thing. But,
Right, exactly.
It it's honestly I'm finding it frustrating to talk about this one now because I do like it. I remember I fondly enjoyed it at the time when it came out. I don't know if I enjoy watching it as much now.
That's fair. I get it. And this I'm acknowledging the flaws. Some of them I will just say are taste based. The you not liking Asgard stuff is just you being weird, and I think you're aware of that.
I wouldn't say I'm being weird, but yes, I'm aware that that is against perhaps the majority opinion. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So you're being weird, but there are legitimate criticisms that I concede that the romance, the whole art being quite quick, because it's 3 days and suddenly he's perfect. Yeah, and that's a bit weird. And this Hawkeye tease, and kind of mostly just Shield in general is very Phase 1. Just okay, we got to have this. It's got to have that continuing setup.
It does.
But I still love it. I still love watching it.
I don't
say,
know. It's one of those things where I'm not even sure if I will again now.
Really?
I think I've had my fill. Like, it's just fine. I have no grudge against it, but I don't know if I need to watch it again. I feel like, I mean, Phase 1, largely, I feel like the only movie I really, really love out of Phase 1 is The Avengers.
I'd say typically when I'm going to watch Phase 1 in future, it would be Iron Man, Thor, Avengers.
Again, going with me having really weird, unpopular opinions, the one I like the most after Avengers in Phase 1, now admittedly there's a bit of a gap, like I'm not saying it's close to Avengers level, because Avengers I think is actually fantastic, but I think it's saying something that it's a director I like who made that movie.
Yeah.
That's a big thing.
But I think that about this movie, like I think Kenneth Branagh, I really like him as a director.
I don't really have any other basis for him. It's not like I didn't see Cinderella because I wasn't
No, that's true.
fussed about it. What else has he done?
He did some Shakespeare stuff.
I think I seen his Othello
Yeah.
in school. Because I
Makes
didn't
sense.
choose to watch Othello. Come on now.
That's fair. That's fair. See what else he's done. So I've just watched a bunch of them. Like, yeah, I like his Hamlet a lot, and his Much Ado About Nothing is very good, but not as good as Whedon's. I'm not there. I'm not crazy.
Joss Whedon, yeah. What did he do
Yeah.
in the past?
Don't you bloody dare.
Oh, he did something. It's slipping my mind.
Oh my god. You've mentioned Avengers more times than I can count, and
Well, here's the thing. I think every time we kind of rushed into the next point without giving me a chance to really
yes,
bask
yeah.
on, wait a minute, who's this guy directing Avengers? This is very interesting information. Yeah. I
Go
guess
on, get out your system.
did some TV work back in the 90s, I think.
Go on.
A certain hit television show by the name of Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Feel better now?
A little bit.
Yeah, good.
A little bit.
I'm looking forward to Brennan's Murder on the Orient Express. That's not far out.
I'm curious about it. I'm not super pumped, but I'm curious.
It's Branagh and it's got Daisy Ridley in it. I'm gonna watch it.
You and your weird Star Wars fetishes.
What do you want me to say? I like Branagh, and I think he's a good director. And
I think he needs to lay off the Dutch angles a little bit.
That's fair. That is fair. I think he's good at what he does though, and that is in this. It's nailing the Shakespeare aspects of it, and I think his sense of comedy is quite good as well.
Sense of comedy is good. Like I say, them walking around in capes, talking in proper English accents doesn't really do a whole lot for me. It just feels a bit pantomime.
Yeah, I get you.
There's just something about those costumes. It's kind of like there's a lot of periods where if you set a movie during that period, like and they're all in like these fancy costumes, and even like knights of armor and stuff. Like if they're not dirty enough, like they feel a bit too pantomime. There's certain costumes like this where it doesn't like it just doesn't look right. No matter they had to weather them a little bit, made them look dirty, made them look grimy.
I get you. I think the point was supposed to be that they're like mythical and they're above that. I'm not sure it works. I'll grant you.
Yeah. Is it? I mean, yeah. A lot of my complaints are taste based. Some of them aren't. Some of them I think are legitimate problems.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like with a lot of Phase 1. Anyway, I was getting to an unpopular opinion. You set me on a path.
Yeah, go on. Sorry, you're the one who started mentioning a certain television show.
Yeah, what television show?
Oh, I'm not doing it again. You've done it once.
Yeah, I actually like Incredible Hulk more than most of the other Phase 1 movies.
Honestly, so do I. I think that I like it. Third, this, then Avengers, then Hulk.
It has its problems. Don't get me wrong. Abomination's hardly a great villain, but I like Hulk as a character more. I think, which goes for a lot.
Yeah, I think I do like that a lot as a movie. I think the only reason I skip it when I do a watch through is because it feels out of place. Even though it's like referenced in this movie, by the time you get to Avengers and he's recast, and it kind of like, oh, we're ignoring the events of that movie. It kind of feels like it never happened.
Oh no, it's been referenced multiple times since.
It has, but it still manages to feel like it never happened.
Then we got the General Ross back in Civil War.
Yeah, no, that's true.
So
I do like that movie. I think that's my third favorite as well. I just think it's mostly inconsequential. I don't feel like I need to watch it.
Actually, that's something I want in one of the new Avengers movies. I want General Ross to be there and like meet Banner again.
I want him to walk in and go, "You've changed.
You look different. You've been working out."
I really like Ed Norton as well.
I do. I like Ruffalo as well, though.
Yeah, I do too.
So that's fine.
Apples and oranges, isn't it?
So yeah, I think a lot of these Phase 1 movies suffer a little bit from just kind of feeling a little bit dated now.
That's understandable. I get it because they do, for the most part.
So yeah, I was watching it and I was like, but I was checking my phone a bit more than I would normally do during a movie, and I was just kind of like, yeah. And it was over, and I felt like I'd had like a little bit of fast food, but I didn't really consume much.
I get it.
Yeah, a bit light and fluffy feeling, which it's kind of an ongoing criticism of the Marvel movies is that they don't have stakes. There's no stakes in Marvel movies. Yeah. They're very light, and you never really feel like there's anything at stake.
I think the problem was it was more forgivable in Phase 1 movies because it's like, oh, this is the
introductions.
It's the introductions. I'm focused on the hero. The villain doesn't need to be anything amazing because I'm learning who my hero is.
I think part of it is that we already know the next 6 movies every time we go and see one of them, that there's almost no surprise about who's going to make it out and who's... Yeah.
And it's where I try not to let future movies colour my opinion of... when I go back and watch a Phase 1 movie, I try not to go, oh, but this happens in Avengers, or but this happens in Thor 2. I try and just enjoy it for what it is and what it was meant to be.
That's fair, but I think you can't help it if it's fatigue. Like if you're like, okay, I've had enough of these right now. I really only wanted experience the 4 or 5 ones that I really like, the great ones, and for the rest of them that are kind of under that part, it's just kind of this weird it's just another superhero movie, and especially I should mention as well that I'm a DC guy. I'm not a Marvel guy by nature. So
Just not when it comes to movies, apparently.
that's because DC keep making shit movies. It's not.
Yeah. Do you know what I think? I'm going to sum up how I really feel about the Marvel movies right now.
Mm-hmm.
The Black Panther trailer dropped like a day or two ago, and I've had no urge whatsoever to watch it.
I've not seen
And
it yet either.
I want to point out this is not because it's Black Panther. Like, I don't want that to be the impression here. I just don't care about any of them. Like, I watched the Thor trailer because I was like, oh, okay, I'm hearing genuine buzz about the Thor trailer, and But
The funny thing is, though, is the second Thor trailer, because I seen the first Ragnarok trailer when it hit the internet. The second one I only seen because it came on at the cinema. I never actually.
Yeah, I've not actively looked at any others past the first one.
Yeah,
where I was like, that first one's like, yep, I'm looking forward to this now. I'm in.
Same with Black Panther. I saw the first trailer when it hit, but I've not seen the new one yet, and I'll probably just wait until I see it at the theater, and that's fine.
I don't feel the need. I'm like, yeah, okay. It's especially as Marvel have a tendency to over advertise like what's gonna happen in the movie. Like it was especially bad with Spider-Man, I felt, where a lot of the plot ended up by like the third, fourth trailers. Like when we're getting close.
Well, there's your problem. Fourth trailer. You shouldn't have a fourth trailer.
Yeah, exactly. And I was trying to avoid them. I only watched the first out of choice, but then obviously they come on at the cinema and whatnot, and it's like, well, now I feel like I mean, the saving grace for that and most of these other Marvel movies is there's usually comedy. There's usually so much comedy that they can't fit it in the trailer that I can still enjoy it. But I feel like I'm not getting surprised with the plots at all.
Yeah. Honestly, I feel like I'd be feeling that way regardless of the trailers. I feel like they have to almost kind of end in a certain way because we're getting more movies, and it's not just the next movie. It's not just the next Spider-Man movie. It's the next Avengers movie as well, and it's the next all these things. It's a weird pickle to be in because I love the idea of a shared universe, but I can't deny that I'm a little bit fatigued with the way the MCU works. And it's funny. It's funny that I think for both of us, and maybe I'm not speaking entirely for you here, but I don't think I'm far off when I say that we both might say that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is our favourite part of the MCU right now.
I mean, yeah, probably.
And I think part of that's because it's even though it references a lot of other things, it focuses so much on its character arcs, and it does lots of fun stories. It does different types of stories.
And I think that kind of hits the nail on why I'm excited for Thor Ragnarok. It looks like it's going, nah, screw all the other stuff. We don't care. We're gonna have a buddy cop movie, and we're gonna disconnect it from everything else, and we're gonna have some fun.
Yeah, but that's the thing, though. I think S.H.I.E.L.D. actually has stakes. That's the thing we keep saying the movies don't have.
It does, yeah.
S.H.I.E.L.D. does have stakes. Those last two arcs in season 4, just remember the numbers, like those two arcs, like those had some, like, and you worry the characters might die. They don't feel indestructible.
Yeah, I never feel I'm going into Thor and going, oh, Hulk might die in this.
No, but I go into a new season of S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm like, oh my god, they might break up Fitzsimmons. Oh no, don't.
It's like, don't you dare kill Fitz this season. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Please don't do it.
So, like, I do, like, it's an interesting little dilemma that they've got kind of going, where it's starting to feel a little bit, factory processed, kind of, but that having said that, like, Spider-Man surprised me a little bit, and I really enjoyed that, because it was a teen movie first, it was a teen coming-of-age movie first, and then superheroics came second, and because of that, it felt a bit fresh. Ragnarok...
Yeah, I didn't like it as much as you did, but it still felt fresh, I'll give it that.
And Ragnarok might have a similar kind of vibe. But
I think
we'll see.
They've just kind of felt formulaic, and this is weird because I'd say Phase 1 had a formula, like I had the opening bit, and then it would cut back, and then it would catch back up.
But here's the thing: there's a lot of things though. Is all of them? One, they were more spread out; they weren't coming as quickly. Two, it was the start of a shared universe where we hadn't really had that before, so that was exciting in and of itself. So it had that kind of like vibe for it. Whereas now we're years later, we've been getting like 2 of these movies every year for years at this point, and it's like it's not the novelty's worn off. It's like, okay, we actually need good movies now.
Yeah, I mean we're getting 3 this year and 3 next year.
Yeah, that's just normal now.
3 the year after, actually.
Yeah, it's just the year now.
Yeah, we've bumped up from 2 to 3.
Yeah,
and I feel like, is this too many? which is something I kind of said at the start of this video, and I'm kind of feeling it.
I don't think it's too many, as long as they like. If all the other problems we said we had with them, where they're kind of cookie cutter and they're kind of the same thing, if those problems weren't there, I don't think 3 would be too many. If they genuinely felt like there were different types of films.
I think they really need to, they keep doing things where it's like, oh, it's another genre in the trappings of a superhero movie. Like, so Winter Soldier was like, it's this political thriller, and Ant-Man was like a heist. And those things were great until you kind of get to the end of the movie, and
it turned into the same thing.
Turned into the superhero movie. I feel like they need to learn to, if they can avoid becoming the superhero movie at the end, then maybe it's how I feel about the Wolverine, where
yeah,
it's a great movie and then turns into a superhero movie at the end.
Unlike Logan, which did not.
Which they learned from their mistake and went, no, do you know what? We'll let you be your movie all the way through. Whereas I feel with Marvel, they're still going, well, you can be your movie for 2/3, but then you've got to be a superhero movie at the end.
Yeah, I concur.
Kind of down. I'll bum myself out here now.
I'm in a better mood now with the Marvel movies than I was like earlier this year, because I like Spider-Man a lot. Ragnarok looks fun. But I like Guardians too, but it wasn't as good as the first. I did have problems with it. And
I agree with that.
That was a shame. I did not like Doctor Strange almost at all. I thought it was kind of a mess.
I liked it at the time. I like it less now. It was one of those where I had fun with it. I enjoyed it, but the more I think about it, the less I like it.
And Civil War's fine. It just wasn't. I was underwhelmed.
I don't quite get it. I think with Civil War,
I was underwhelmed. Actually, there was a really good bit. I've heard people talk about it, and I kind of agree with this critique that I never really thought of. But the fight at the end is actually really good. At the end of the movie, you have the three ways. It's Iron Man, Cap, and Winter Soldier, and that's the fight that has all the emotion in it because that's what the plot leads to. But the problem is that everyone's kind of deflated at that point because you've just sat through this 40-minute fight at the airport with the big war fight with all the characters, and that fight doesn't actually have stakes because they're not really trying to kill each other or anything like that. It feels kind of forced because you want to have the big superhero versus superhero fight, and then the actual fight that has the emotion and actually is a good dramatic fight, you're kind of like just tired by that point.
No, that's true. I think it's too long, isn't it, the movie?
Yeah. You take it that airport fight, which I get has a lot of cool things in it. It does. On a pure, just, like shallow level, a lot of great things in that scene. But if you take that scene out and you let it just go to this more emotional fight where there's actually emotion behind the punches and there's a reason for it, because at the end, in that last fight, you really feel like Iron Man is trying to kill Winter Soldier. He's trying to do it.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I don't know. I remember when that movie came out, I felt like we were maybe two of the only people in our group that were like down on that movie.
Yeah, and I wouldn't even say that. It just wasn't amazing. Like I went in thinking, it's basically Avengers 3, and I never walked out feeling like that. And obviously it's not Avengers 3, and that's a fair point. But my complaints were kind of more like, it feels like the next episode of a TV show where I feel kind of unfulfilled. Like instead of getting like a complete product where I got an ending and I got like all these things, it felt kind of bloated, and I don't know. I just wasn't in love with it.
I agree.
It was good, but I wasn't in love with it.
Yeah, I think Marvel needs to get back to doing some individually focused movies, which is why I think I'm looking forward to Thor Ragnarok, because it looks like it's just doing its own thing. Again, there are no stakes still, I'll grant you that. That's a different concern, but it's doing its own thing rather than going, hey, look, this is the next part of the universe, which I think why I mostly enjoyed this year, because Guardians of the Galaxy, Spider-Man, they've all been kind of, we're our own thing. For the moment, I mean, Spider-Man's the closest to being the next part. Yeah,
Spider-Man had the most stakes, really, because the stakes were because it was about a character arc. It was about him growing up and being a better person, and that was the stakes. Like, it wasn't the fight that was the stake, but like him having a proper arc was really what sold the movie. And while Thor does have an arc in this first movie, it's kind of forced and rushed, and it doesn't really feel earned. You don't really feel like, he has been here long enough to really learn anything and be like a better person. Now, I feel like we actually spent about as much time just talking about the MCU in general as we did about Thor itself.
Because it's been a while since we've done an MCU thing, isn't it?
It has been a while. It has been a while, and yeah, honestly, as much as I like Spider-Man, I do have a little bit of apathy. I'm not like super excited about it anymore. Like I'll go and see it. I'll probably have good fun. Usually when I go to see them, I'll have a good bit of fun. But now, like I used to go and see like the ones I like multiple times. I saw some of them 3 times in the theater. Now, like I'll see it. Even if I liked it, I'll be like, yeah, that was good. And then I'll just.
I'm at the point now where I don't even feel like I need to see them opening day necessarily. Like there was a point where it's like I mean, up to maybe. Probably all the way up to Age of Ultron, where I was like, I'm going to see this opening day, no matter what. Whereas now it's like, yeah, okay, opening weekend, maybe Tuesday, Wednesday when I get to it. No, I don't feel the rush.
It's not special anymore.
Yeah.
Which is why I enjoy Star Wars feeling special, because it's not going to.
I'm making the most of it
for much longer. In a few years' time, you're going to be like, what?
I mean, if they keep it at 1 a year, at least that's 1 a year, not 2, 3 a year. It'll last longer.
Yeah, but then
no, I mean, there is a point where it will still get to it, but it's going to take longer, surely.
But then you're going to have Solo, which is going to get Solo digits on Rotten Tomatoes to kill your mood.
Oh, come on.
You're right. You're poo-pooing that, but you're right. You're right to poo-poo it, because here's the thing: because it's got Star Wars in the title, it'll actually get a decent score out of obligation.
Yeah, it will.
Because go back and look at those prequel scores on Rotten Tomatoes; they are far too high. They get extra points because they're Star Wars movies. It is an absolute travesty.
I'm not disputing that. I will watch those movies and I will get my own enjoyment out of them, but I will not say they are good movies.
And I don't know what Rogue One's score is, but whatever it is, it's a joke. I can tell you that right now.
I like Rogue One a lot. We went over this. Like, I don't understand a lot of your criticism of Rogue One.
Oh, I think it's a garbage movie. Rogue One's shit. I
mean, I need to know what it was now.
What's the Rotten Tomatoes score for Rogue One? I guarantee you it's far too high.
What would you say is the highest that you would consider acceptable?
I'll accept 50, because that's down the middle.
Jesus, 50. That's far too low. Come on.
No, it's polarizing. I'll accept 50, but anything higher than that's too positive.
I don't think it was polarizing for the most part. But anyway, it's at 85 with audience of 87. Average rating 7.5.
85%.
I think that's fair. 85% of people liked that movie.
My opinion of movie critics just shot down dramatically. No. That no.
It's all right. Shall I make you feel better and see what Thor is bound to be far lower?
Thor may not be that much lower.
Oh, I think it will be. I think Thor split a lot more people.
The first one I can see about 70. I think.
77.
Oh yeah, get up you.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
I mean, the meta score is a lot lower than that. The meta score is 57.
Meta's a bit harsher. That's fine. Any final thoughts about Thor? This has been one of the least focused videos we've ever done.
It really is, isn't it? I think a lot of this comes down from I really like it, and the things that I really like are things you just don't out of taste. Whereas I agree with a lot of your genuine critiques, but I can't discard them because I love the movie. It's one of those.
Do you know what I think it is? I think when it's a movie like this that is relatively simple, there's not a whole lot of things to talk about beyond the core things. And then add in the fact that we've both seen it several times. It's a recent movie. Ultimately, it's not that interesting a discussion to have about it.
Okay, I'll tell you something I genuinely really like. The father-son dynamic between Thor and Odin, the idea of, Odin being very kind of almost as reckless and as Thor, in the sense that he doesn't really think about it. It's like it's a very, fly off the handle anger in the moment. It's like, no, you did this, I'm going to punish you and it's going to be bad. And it's like, well, did it need to be that bad to teach him his lesson? Were there not other ways you could have talked through this? I like that sort of aspect of it.
Yeah.
Okay. I tried. I tried, folks.
Which are from? I mean, the cast is. I mean, Chris Hemsworth was good. Hiddleston's good. Hiddleston's been. They kept him around when they didn't really need to for a long time.
I like Idris Elba as Heimdall.
He hasn't got a lot to do, but yeah, I like Idris Elba.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, and I think he gets a. I think you say he doesn't get a lot to do. He does have some key pivotal moments still. The idea that he's one of the first to stand up to Loki and make a stand and make a point, and he becomes like an actual a frozen symbol of his defiance. I like that.
You're almost there to making a really sort of deep point about something. You're going, he's a literal frozen symbol of the defiance.
I'm just trying to go for. I can't quite get it there. This is what happens when I'm just thinking them up on the spot.
It's not that deep, Connor. You're
I'm
trying.
I'm stretching. I know.
It's just not that deep.
No, I'm really trying to give it some weight, but it's fun. What can I say?
Well, I'm curious then if we're going to rate this out of 10, like what are we landing on? Because
I'm gonna, I know this is high, but 8.5, and it's high, but I love it.
I think it's more telling that your highest Marvel movie is an 8.5.
Yeah, I think over the years they've come down. Like there was a time where I've told you this was like a 9, and like and maybe like the first Guardians and Winter Soldier were also 9s. But now it's probably okay. They're all a bit lower.
I kind of agree. My opinion of them is kind of lowered a little bit as a whole. Over time.
Yeah.
I think when Avengers came out, I was probably tempted to say a 10. Like I thought that was like one of the best movie experiences I've ever had. It was just the perfect build to this big climax, and like all the characters were fun, and and Whedon, the reason why I like Whedon so much is because he has all these poppy characters, and they bounce off of each other. They all feel so distinct, and they all feel useful.
But you say you agree it wouldn't be a 10 now?
No, I mean I'd probably still give Avengers like a 9. I still think it's an excellently made blockbuster. Like I think it's. I love how simple it is. It all builds up to one fight, and it feels great because of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the only one I would give a 9 though, and then I would there'd be a couple of 8s, and then if I'm getting to Thor. 6.5.
All right.
6.5, maybe 7,
That's fair. This is it. I'm perfectly willing to admit my score is probably too high. But we've all got some of those movies.
Yeah, no, I think it's a fine movie. It does for the most part what it needs to do. I do have some legit criticisms. I think ultimately though, I'm just not as excited by these Marvel movies as I used to be.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. It's why across the board they've lowered.
And I will admit there's like a weird bias here, and it's not a bias against Marvel. It's not that, but there's a weird bias in the sense that if DC were making movies that were just this good, I'd be kind of like happy to have that forever probably because I like DC that much. I care about those characters inherently already that I'm a bit more into.
The movies don't need to convince you to care.
Exactly. So I'm inherently just a little bit more invested in what's going on, even if they're not the best things ever. That said, of course, they are turning out absolute shite. Wonder Woman aside.
Yeah. I was going to say, let's be fair.
85% of Wonder Woman aside.
Yeah.
Maybe
90.
Final Fight's a bit rough, but the rest of it pretty good. They actually made a good movie there. So thank you, Patty.
Yeah.
We are not worthy. I will bow down before you. You made a good DC movie. First one since Nolan had his hat in the ring. But yeah, so Thor. I can't believe that we went over an hour on this, and it was like maybe 30 minutes of it.
I was going to say, I think 25 minutes maybe if you cut down are actually about Thor.
Oh God!
This is. I hope people enjoyed this conversation because I don't know what else this was meant to be.
Oh.
I don't know what we're gonna do for Thor 2.
I'm not even sure we should even do it, to be honest. After this,
no,
because we've done all this talk about the MCU. So when we do Thor 2, when we run out of things to say about Thor 2, it's
going to be a hell of a short discussion. It's going to be. I mean, in some ways, it will be inherently more focused and tighter about Thor 2, and specifically about its problems and what it does. But
Yeah, maybe. We've not seen that one as much, so maybe.
Maybe have some fresher thoughts.
Yeah.
I don't know. It could be a really shit conversation. Brace yourself, folks.
We may skip it. We'll talk about it. We
Yeah.
might skip it. Because we're supposed to do this one last week, and now we're kind of a week behind, and we need to fit things in, so it might actually be easier to just say, you know what, it's going to be a shit conversation anyway, let's just skip Thor 2.
I mean, I can tell you about it. Like I said, Eccleston's wasted. Loki's pretty good. Yeah, it's all right, funny.
Fuck it, let's not watch it, let's just talk about it.
6 out of 10.
That's Thor 2.
There we go.
I like the comedy in it. I remember the comedy, hanging the hammer on the clothes peg and the little things like that. Also, I remember looking for the keys and like when they're through the portal.
Yeah, the Infinity Gem looks shit. Way too much Darcy.
There was a lot of Darcy.
And I like Darcy in this one. Like, I have no problems whatsoever with Darcy in this first movie.
Also, wasn't Selvig like crazy at like a hospital and he was naked and stuff? Yeah.
But he wasn't really crazy because he was right.
Thor 2's not that great. It's funny. I like the humour in it. Some good Loki scenes. I'd give it like a 5 out of 10. I think maybe 4.5 out of 10.
Yeah, my 6 out of 10 might be just top of my head. First number that pops in.
The 6 may be a bit generous.
I'm not lying there. I've not seen it since it came out. Give me peace.
Neither have I. Is that a Thor 2 review done? Have we not done?
I think we've done it. Yeah, I think we just nailed it. Look at us. We are time-saving geniuses.
I remember the most exciting thing about Thor 2 when I watched it was what's his face from IT Crowd.
Which one's from IT Crowd's in it?
No, not Moss. The other one.
Oh, okay.
Chris O'Dowd, is that his name?
Yeah.
There you go. I just forgot his name.
He's
got a date with Natalie Portman at the start.
Yeah, I remember that.
And it was really surreal because it was like, Natalie Portman, an actress from movies, and then him from the IT Crowd. She wasn't impressed, and I'm not surprised.
Yeah, no. I remember liking that Thor had to kind of begrudgingly go with Loki. He's like, all right, fine. And they were like chained together almost. It was almost like, all right, we're in handcuffs sort of thing. I liked that aspect.
Yeah,
but I think that's because I like Hiddleston as Loki.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I don't remember it that well to really talk about it
anymore. Me either. This is vague memories from 3 years ago.
I remember kind of liking at least part of the final fight where they were kind of like they kept going through more portals as they were fighting, and they kept kind of going through different places. I thought that was kind of an interesting idea. At least.
Yeah, it had an interesting geography to it.
Yeah, but yeah, Malekith was a complete waste. Like Christopher Eccleston, he could be such a good villain, and they just
I think Eccleston had about 4 lines in the whole movie.
He did. Apparently, he shot tons. And it was just all, cut out.
Man. Do you know what? Eccleston has this problem in general where he really hates like producers because this happens to him a lot. Like it's the whole reason he won't go back to Doctor Who is he has some problems with the producers about things that went on and what was going to happen, and it's why he left. It's why he left. It's why he won't come back. He never came back for like the 50th special. It's why he says he's just ruled out doing anything to do with it. Is because he doesn't like the way things are done behind the scenes. And I feel like this experience with Thor 2 will not have helped that.
No, he basically left movies and went and did Leftovers for a few years. That was his thing.
It was a good choice.
Well, yeah, he's good in that show. So,
Yeah.
He likes HBO and Damon Lindelof and their business practice. He likes the way they...
I mean, he did more than one season for them.
He did, yeah. That's true. He's in all 3 seasons.
Exactly. Can't say that about Doctor Who.
He's in 1 season of Doctor Who.
But he's bloody brilliant.
It's been a while. I remember liking him, but it's been so... I couldn't tell you the plot of any of his episodes.
Oh, man. So,
I vaguely remember him sitting in a Big Brother chair at one point, but that is a...
that's a high middle episode.
Sure, but that's what I'm saying. It's just been so long that I can't remember the plots.
I think he's a very underrated Doctor.
All right, so you get a bonus.
Thor 2's done.
You get a bonus review for Thor 2 because We missed the week, and as much as I'd feel bad about skipping something we had scheduled, honestly, after that conversation, after how much we actually focused on Thor, I have no confidence that we'll actually focus on Thor 2.
And I like Thor.
And the funny thing is we had planned to do like some Avengers and like Cap and Iron Man movies before Infinity War next year. I'm kind of rethinking that now that we've done this. I'm kind of thinking,
Yeah, I mean,
maybe the Avengers movies just.
maybe, yeah.
Just before Infinity War rather than doing the other ones, because I don't know. I feel like if I watch Iron Man again and Iron Man 2, I'm just going to
I'm gonna be sick of it. I remember for this, the original plan as well was to do Incredible Hulk, because obviously Hulk's in Ragnarok and is a big part, and they're talking about how this is actually the start of a Hulk trilogy that's going to be spread across, Hulk.
Which is a nice idea. If we're not getting a Hulk movie, I like the idea that he's going to have like an actual sort of running subplot through like 3 movies. That's actually kind of a cool idea.
It is, but at the same time, does it not play into our critique of, well, they just feel like parts of a TV show where, okay, I'm getting parts of Hulk's story spread over 3 years.
Well, no, it's okay if it's just Hulk's story. Like if the main plots all feel contained.
Okay, I get you.
Whereas one of the things with Civil War that felt like a problem is that there were so many character things where it just...
Imagine watching that movie if you hadn't seen Ant-Man.
Exactly. There was so many things in that movie that it felt like there was so many subplots that were just kind of already going, and then a lot of them didn't even necessarily have endings.
Yeah.
It just, I don't know, that's what I mean when I say it felt like a TV show. It just felt like so much of it was left without a sort of fulfilling conclusion.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I am looking forward to Infinity War for the over the top shenanigans. Cause
see, this thing, I wouldn't say I'm looking forward to it at the minute. I might be when it gets closer. I see a trailer and I go, oh yeah, that looks good. Now,
because it should be the biggest thing they've ever done. It should be the culmination of like all these years, and from what we've heard described of the trailer they showed at Comic-Con or Disney 23 or whatever it's called.
D23.
D23, that's the one. They showed like trailers, I think 2 of them, and they've not released them, but the description involves Thanos ripping a planet apart and then throwing the debris at the Avengers. That sounds amazing.
Right. Here's the thing for me. That sounds pretty cool, but you're saying, oh, it should be the biggest thing ever, and it should be, but I kind of don't care. I don't want it. I don't need the biggest thing ever anymore. Every movie is they're trying to be the biggest thing ever.
I can't argue with that.
I want a good character movie, and I'm never gonna get that in Avengers. But the problem is I'm not getting it in any of the character movies either.
Yeah, no. See, this is the thing. Like, the first Avengers, right? The first Avengers is not necessarily a character. I mean, he does like a pretty decent job of like giving them all like a little arcs.
They all get at least a moment or two. Yeah,
but it works so well as an action movie because it's like you set up the threat, you build the plan, and the team has to come together and work together at the end, right? And it's this big, and the action's actually really good, compared to a lot of the other Marvel movies where the final fight's just kind of whatever, and it's so like that's what Infinity War needs to be. It needs to be, as much as there's so many characters, what you do is you keep the actual plot simple. Thanos shows up, he gets the glove, he gets the stones, he gets whatever, and fighting happens. Part of the problem I think with Civil War that I had, that there was just too many subplots, and it was
I think Civil War is almost the turning point for me, where it became where every movie had to be like the next Avengers bit, and it's just, I mean, Winter Soldier is probably the start of it actually. Even though I really like Winter Soldier, it's like, oh, this is the next biggest thing. It's so important that you can't go into Avengers 2 without seeing Winter Soldier, and it's like. Yeah, but I don't want any of these movies to be that. I get that the Avengers movies, as the team ones, should be, these are the big things, but the character movies don't need to be the biggest threats ever. I don't need that in them. Yeah,
because actually, I like Winter Soldier a lot as well, but the thing I would take out of Winter Soldier is the whole third act with all the helicarriers and them blowing up and all that. Like, no, I didn't need that giant like CG fest at the end. You didn't need that because the story was strong enough. The Winter Soldier story itself was strong enough to carry it.
And to go back to this year specifically, I like Guardians of the Galaxy because it was fun. Specifically, it was maybe it was trying to be a bit too big for what it was, and the character moments weren't there as much, but it was fun. But Spider-Man was about a character story. That's what it was.
Yeah,
like, hands down. And Thor looks like it's trying to be a character. It's not trying to be the biggest movie. like undoubtedly, like in no way looks like it's trying to be that.
But it looks pretty big.
I mean, big in budget and scale, but it doesn't like
Yeah.
not in the same way that it's trying to be like the next part of this big story in the way that Civil War is, or Winter Soldier.
Yeah, I guess the difference is that a lot of other movies, we keep saying Marvel don't have stakes, but the trailers pretend there is. And that's
but
yeah.
I don't think the Thor trailers aren't pretending there's stakes.
Yeah, it's got a sense of humor in the trailer, so you kind of not take it too seriously. So you're not
At no point in those trailers does it go, "Oh, everything's going to change. It's going to be a big ramifications for everyone." It's like, nah, Thor and Hulk have some fun, and they go on a space journey and beat up some dudes. That's kind of what it looks like.
What happened? We fought. I won. That doesn't sound right. Well, it's true.
Exactly.
It's just that. It's the banter, yeah. God, we went on a lot.
Well, I was not expecting this.
It's opened the can of worms, though, because we feel really mixed in these Marvel movies now, and it's just kind of opened this can, and we're...
I think it's especially as... I feel like my opinion on these is kind of an outsider opinion, even though more and more recently I feel like it's kind of become a more popular opinion.
I still think we're in the minority, but I don't think it's as much of a minority as it used to be. I feel like now it's like amongst nerds, we're at least at like 30% of people feel this fatigue, maybe 40 even.
But here's the thing: like for a long time now, I've just kind of avoided talking about them because I can't really be bothered to just argue anymore about it. I don't care enough about them to argue with people that much.
That's the thing. I don't think they are worth arguing about. It's just
Yeah, so because I haven't actually talked about them in so long, it's kind of all coming out now.
The funny thing is, like, I mean, I hate Batman v Superman, and I hated Suicide Squad, but oddly, the conversation was more interesting because they were so terrible, and there was things to talk about.
yeah, that's true.
I mean, it's just kind of,
and it's like if you'd asked me about Iron Man 2 at the time, I'd have been able to give like the problems that we're talking about, like it just feels like it's parts. It's just setting up. Avengers. It's not doing anything for itself. But now I feel like that applies to so much of the line that I'm like, well, what's the point in talking about Iron Man 2?
I mean, that said, most of it's still better than Iron Man 2, but it's...
Yeah.
It is kind of a weird thing. Because even Iron Man 2, like, Iron Man 2, I think, is... I mean, I think the first Avengers is the worst Marvel movie. Arguably, Doctor Strange is now down there as well. But,
I mean, for me, Iron Man 2 is down there with them.
Yeah, but I'm saying... Iron Man 2 for most people is like either the worst or it's right after like what your worst is. It's down there.
Yeah.
But I think even at the time though, back in 2010 when that came out, I feel like most people were kind of forgiving. They were kind of lukewarm and they're just like, oh, but no, it's still pretty good. Because most people were just excited. They were excited about building to the Avengers. They were excited about all these things.
That's true. It's when you go back and watch it a second time. Once you've seen Avengers and you're like, well, okay, what was the point of this movie?
Yeah, it's just it feels pretty worthless when you watch it now.
Once you've had Avengers, it's not even now. It's once you've had Avengers, it's not because what it's teasing you've already had, so you don't care.
Yeah, which is why a movie can't just be a trailer for another movie. It has to do something on its own because otherwise it will not live up to repeat viewings, and that's what we've seen with Iron Man 2, I think, especially.
Yeah, definitely.
Alright, well, that ended up being a lot more A, long, B, not about Thor, and C, a bit of a tirade.
I'm intrigued to see if you actually just title this the Thor review, or is it the Thor review, kind of?
Thor review for about 30% of it, and then the rest of it is just a discussion about the MCU.
At least it got to a point where we acknowledged we were just like, screw it, this isn't a Thor review anymore.
Oh dear, I don't know. Would people rather, like, if we started veering off like this, that we just cut ourselves off, or is it worth having what was hopefully maybe an interesting discussion about why we don't feel that in love with the MCU anymore?
I think it's this for me personally. Like, I don't mind doing this because we don't do it very often.
Oh, we don't, yeah. No,
and it's only when we get to something like this where we've kind of gone off on one. Most of the movies we've done, which is it's quite a reasonable amount of movies we're up to now. I mean, you probably know the exact number.
I believe this is number 42 or 3.
Right, so we did a good 40 movies. Well, we stayed on track for, most of those.
Yeah, they had a little tangent, a bit Buffy the Vampire Slayer here or there.
Sure, that was bound to happen because you're in the conversation. But for the most part, they're pretty focused on their respective movie. So we were due a blowout.
Yeah. It's almost a shame Matt's not here because Matt would defend them a lot more.
Yeah, it would.
Matt loved Civil War. Matt would stick up for a lot of this stuff. He likes Thor. So, I feel bad that there's not someone here to argue the opposite side. It's kind of an echo chamber in here because as much as we disagree with our opinions on Thor to an extent, we have a very similar opinion of the MCU as a whole right now.
Yeah, I mean, commenters, a lot of you, I'm sure, are more in love with the MCU than us still. So tell us why. Start some discussion.
Yeah. The thing is, I kind of get it. Like, if you care about these characters outside of the movies themselves, I get why it doesn't have to do as much for you. Because, like I say, like, I'm watching the DC shows every week, and it's not like Flash, Supergirl, or Legends of Tomorrow are that great. Really, they have a lot of faults. Like, if you didn't care about those characters, I think you could easily walk into those shows and go, "What's the point of watching this?" It's kind of fluffy. It's not that, and it has moments of good or greatness, but it is kind of typical network TV for a lot of it.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think the fact that I love those characters already are what makes it unbearable. Sounds harsh, but kind of in a weird way. Like I've already got a connection.
It stops it being bearable and makes it enjoyable.
Yes, as long as it's got at least a certain level of quality. Obviously, it can dip below that, and they've all done that at various points. Legend Season 1, not very good. Supergirl, whenever Mon-El started being a big feature.
Yeah, ugh. Flash, most of Season 3. Not all.
Hit and miss.
70%.
I wouldn't say it was a block, it was more just kind of hit and miss as it went along.
Arrow, most of the show now.
It nosedived
yes,
at a certain point. So, but so the point I'm making is that, if you're a Marvel fan, if you love these characters from the comics, absolutely, like, I get why it doesn't have to be the best thing ever every single time. But the thing is, though, is that there are times when they hit it and it's just genuinely really good and it doesn't matter. Like, I think the first Avengers is that good, it does not matter. The first Guardians of the Galaxy, it does not matter. You've never heard of those characters. It makes you care about the characters on its own merits, on its own right. No.
Absolutely.
These characters, I like that franchise. Guardians of the Galaxy is a concept I like now, when I had never heard of them before. Because that movie...
I've played the Telltale game now.
There you go.
And I enjoyed it. It is a different take on it, but I enjoyed it because I formed my connection because of that movie.
Yeah, whereas I wouldn't say like I'm a Thor fan because of the movies. Captain America a little bit more so, but even then, I'm not like huge into it.
I'd say I was a Thor fan if Thor 2 had been better.
Iron Man, I really like movie Iron Man, comic book Iron Man. I've tried to read some of his stuff, and it's not really done anything for me. Robert Downey Jr. is kind of what makes Iron Man to me.
No, I agree. I tried to read Kieran Gillen's Iron Man, and Kieran Gillen, I rave about it. He's one of my favourite writers.
You love that guy.
I can't read that Iron Man run.
I tried reading his the Matt Fraction Iron Man run. I read the first 6 issues. It was okay, but
That's kind of what I was with the Gillen stuff. I was like, I mean, it's fine, but it's not doing anything for me.
I don't know. So I mean, all cards on the table. Like we aren't Marvel lovers, but we love Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because it made us care about all those characters, and that wasn't great to begin with. That got great later on.
I think though that the reality is, the vast majority of people who see these movies aren't Marvel lovers. They're reliant on these movies to give them everything contextually. They're never going to read the comics. They're never going to care.
And for some people, that's enough. Because, as much as I do have a lot of problems with some of them and how kind of repetitive they get and how they kind of feel the same, I'll take them way over. See 10 years ago when it was Roland Emmerich movies every summer, and it was Michael Bay movies every summer, and I feel like the stupidity of the blockbuster has at least diminished a bit.
I give you that. Especially when the worst of these franchises are Iron Man 2, First Avenger, maybe Thor 2. To be honest,
go watch Transformers
Doctor Strange.
4. No, to be fair, Transformers 4 was in this time period, but I feel like Michael Bay
He's a holdover, isn't it?
Yeah, he's a holdover from that era. Whereas most of the others, like, yeah, sure, you've got Geostorm, this year, but like, that's not the tent pole anymore. That feels like it's just kind of sitting around.
Yeah, no one's gone to see that really, had they?
Honestly, that movie's so stupid looking that I wouldn't be against watching it someday. Are you familiar with the plot?
No, I don't want
Humanity has built a satellite that is capable of controlling the weather and the climate, so there's no more natural disasters, but someone hacks into it and starts a geostorm where there's storms all over the planet doing crazy things. And Gerard Butler has to go up to the space station and float around it and try and fix it before the planet's destroyed.
Here's the thing. You tell me that as a blockbuster, I hate it. You tell me that as a B movie, I utterly love it. Is that bad?
No, I kind of get you. I kind of get you.
So we done?
I guess we're done, yeah. I want to love these movies. I really do. I like Spider-Man. Spider-Man surprised me. Spider-Man's the most enthusiastic I've been about one of these movies in a while. And I'm hoping Ragnarok continues that trend. I'm hoping Infinity War caps it off. But even after this enthusiasm, I'm still not quite at that level I was back in the earlier days where it felt fresh and exciting. Now it's just kind of like, okay, I hope the next one's good. But the hype isn't there. I'm not anticipating them the same way that I used to be.
And I honestly don't know if there's anything they can do for me to ever feel like that again.
No, that's fair. I think the quality would just have to skyrocket, and I'd feel like, oh no, the quality is just that good every time.
It'd have to really do something different, wouldn't it?
But at least right now, the way I feel about them, even with the Ragnarok, which I do think looks good, is that the release date is going to sneak up on me. I'm not going to be like looking forward to it and like, oh, it's only had 2 weeks till the Ragnarok. It's going to be 1 week till Ragnarok. I'm going to be like, oh, it's out tomorrow. Oh, go see it. Cool.
No, you're right. Even now, I'm like, I'm like, hang on, we're doing the Thor review. That means it's not that far away.
Exactly.
And I'm like, oh shit.
But I'm not going to notice. I'm just going to be like, oh, it's out this week. Cool. But that's going to be my reaction when I realise, and that'll be it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Whereas there was a time when I was like, really anticipating and counting down, and those days are gone. But hey, can't have that forever. But no. I guess it doesn't help that there's other blockbusters in the last couple of years, like Mad Max Fury Road, where it's like, oh no, this is what I want. This is fresh. This was exciting. This was great. This holds up. This is completely self-contained, and it works on its own merit. And
I really need to watch the black and chrome version.
Yeah, and then you've got the Apes trilogy, which ended up being fantastic.
And then something like Logan, which takes the superhero stuff and does something original with it.
Yeah, and you've got New Mutants, the trailer. I don't know if you've seen the trailer for that.
I've seen the shortened clip.
Yeah, I don't think the trailer looks great. It looks a bit too generic, but I do actually really appreciate that it's a horror movie, and it looks like a horror movie.
That's it. I appreciate them going, no, screw it, we're doing something different.
It may end up sucking.
A superhero.
It may end up sucking because it looks like a kind of shitty horror movie, but at the very least, they'll try to do a different genre, and it's not just like, oh, it's still kind of a superhero movie. No, it's a horror movie. It looks like a horror movie.
Yeah, get it where it's due.
So fair play to that. And I'm all for horror movies coming out on Valentine's Day. I think that's a fantastic idea.
Yeah, I'm down for that. Is that when it's coming?
I think so.
Cool.
There we go. That has been our review of Thor.
Ish.
Oh man. That has kind of been a review of Thor. Let us know what you think of Thor. Let us know what you think of the MCU. Are you still excited about these movies coming out?
Let us know how much bollocks we just chatted for an hour and a half.
Are you still excited? Let us know in the comments. Like, subscribe if if you enjoyed this at all. Get us on Twitter at mail_fuzz. If you want to support if you want to support the channel, you can go to patreon.com/mailfuzztv. And do that over there. You get these influxes a week early. This hot take, like there's people watching this a week early because they get it early for $1.
And they're gonna love it.
I don't know if they will. I
don't know either. I think that was a bit of an ambitious statement.
I feel like the Patreon number's going to go down after this episode.
Is this where we jump the shark?
It might be. I don't know. But there you go. That's been us. So thank you very much for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. We love you loads. Please don't leave us.
Especially if you stuck through all of this.
I know this was kind of awful in an unfocused kind of way. but maybe sometimes a rant is a good idea to get off our chest. So thank you very much once again. We really do appreciate it. Keep watching movies. You could have watched one in this discussion with the length of it. We'll see you next time. Goodbye, guys.